Imagine owning a thriving European business, be it a German manufacturing firm, a Swiss construction company, or just an Italian family-run restaurant, without building it from scratch. Picture stepping into such a company which is already profitable, has cash flow, employees, and huge growth potentials, and it's all waiting for you to take charge of the company. Welcome to Entrepreneurship Through Acquisition then, or just short ETA, where you can become a CEO of a European business in a very short period of time. In the next few minutes, I will tell you why ETA is the biggest opportunity of your life and what its game-changing advantages are. So stay tuned. First of all, let's talk about what entrepreneurship through acquisition actually is. ETA is basically buying a business instead of starting one from scratch. This way you can use existing systems and you don't have to start something from zero. Instead of creating a product and chasing customers, you take over a profitable business in ETA, which has already made revenue and has already running operations. More and more MBA graduates go the path towards ETA, and also the London Business School says that entrepreneurship through acquisition is a great way towards leadership. With that in mind, let's have a look at how the ETA process in Europe looks like. Step one is the search phase, where you look after businesses for sale, most often from retiring owners. In Europe alone, over 450,000 businesses look for a successor due to a retiring owner every year. And as you might already assume, there is just a huge imbalance between supply and demand. Meaning there are a lot more businesses for sale than there are people who want to take over businesses. And for this reason, a lot of also profitable businesses have to shut down. Step two is then the financing of the deal. And obviously there are different ways to finance it. First of all, there's the possibility to do it with your own cash. Then you can also, additionally to that, take on a bank loan, and you can also do it through seller financing, for example. Seller financing is something that is actually quite common, and it's basically that you pay back the money over time with the profits that the business is making. Step three is then the acquisition of the business, meaning you negotiate the deal and you take the business over from a legal perspective then too. And then as the fourth step, you obviously take over the business, meaning you're the new owner now. You want to improve the operations and you want to grow the business as much as possible. Now let's talk about the biggest advantages of entrepreneurship through acquisition and why ETA is a real game changer in Europe. First, there's obviously lower risk involved. Startups fail far too often, meaning 80% of startups fail after the first 5 years and 20% even fail in the first year. ETA, on the other hand, lets you buy an existing business with cash flow, profits, hopefully customers, systems, and so on and so forth. So you get into a running business and not something you have to build from scratch all yourself. For example, in Germany, mid-sized companies that got acquired have a 95% survival rate in the first 5 years. Second, you have immediate cash flow. Startups usually burn money first after they eventually make money in the future. And with a business acquisition, you make money from day one. In Europe, SMEs contribute 5.5 trillion US dollars to the annual GDP. And this makes those businesses stable cash flow engines. Third, you might have a very big growth potential. Obviously, this also goes for startup, that's for sure. But also when you do entrepreneurship through acquisition, you can actually scale a lot after an acquisition. Studies show that ETA-driven firms in Europe increase employment quite often by 20 to 50% within the first 3 years after the acquisition by leveraging digital tools or expanding exports. Fourth is accessible financing. Especially in Europe, you have a lot of options to finance a deal. For example, in 2023, the European Investment Bank alone supported SME acquisitions with $11 billion in loans. Seller financing is obviously very appealing for the buyer as well, and in the UK alone, around 40% of all deals include seller financing. Fifth is the economic impact that it has. Around 65% of all European workforce is employed in SMEs, and small and medium-sized businesses account for $2 trillion in exports. ETA has a huge impact on the economic landscape in Europe, and it really boosts local economies from urban France to rural Poland. Interesting for you to know, in Italy alone, around 60% of all SMEs are family owned, and a lot of them are actually not having a successor, meaning this is really a gold mine for ETA buyers. And last but not least, why ETA is a game changer in Europe is the diverse opportunities that it unfolds. Europeans' varied markets offer countless opportunities. Buy a Dutch logistics company for $1 million, a French bakery for $200,000, or a Swedish SaaS company for $5 million. They all have a unique growth opportunity in Europe's $17 trillion market. But also, when it comes to entrepreneurship through acquisition, not everything is just great. So what are the challenges when it comes to ETA in Europe? First, due diligence is obviously really important to do correctly, because from a legal perspective, you have to be compliant with GDPR. Then also, when it comes to financing, this obviously very much varies by country. So for example, in Germany, it's much harder to get a loan than it is in Spain, for example. And also, when it comes to managing a company, then at a certain stage, there are obviously a lot of cultural differences between the employees, and this might become very different to manage them too. Obviously, there is a lot of stuff and material on the internet where you can gain knowledge from, and you might also know people that can support you there too. But in the end, obviously, entrepreneurship through acquisition is not a no-risk game. There are definitely risks involved, but this is just part of the game if you want to go into entrepreneurship in general. But for whom is entrepreneurship through acquisition exactly? ETA is perfect for ambitious Europeans that want to skip startup risks. Doesn't matter if you're a consultant, an expert when it comes to finance, or if you are a driven professional in general, ETA offers you a structured path to own a business in the $17 trillion economy of Europe. I'm still in the phase of looking after potential businesses to acquire, but I'm already super aware that especially the first years will become super hard, because you will get into a system that you're not really familiar with already, and you just have to adapt as quickly as possible and juggling different things all at once. For me, it's safe to say that entrepreneurship through acquisition is one of the biggest opportunities we have in our lives. But I'm also interested, do you agree with this? Have you ever thought about buying a business? Let me know down in the comments, because I'm really interested in your opinion. I'm sure that ETA is a smarter, safer way to own a business and build wealth in the long run. Thank you for watching the video, and I see you in the next one.